Are you finding it difficult to stay motivated to work on your marriage because your wife is saying things like, I'm completely done? Or after spending months of working on yourself, she's telling you things like, you haven't changed at all and you'll never change. My name's Luke Finn, and I'm the founder of the ARC system, where we help dads transform a marriage in crisis into a new unbreakable marriage. And today I'm joined by our ARC legends to answer your questions that you're facing in your marriage. ARC legends assemble. How are all you beautiful motherfuckers doing?
Great. Morning.
Wonderful. Welcome, guys. So the question that we have today is from Archie from the UK, and he says, my wife wants a divorce. How do I stay motivated when she is consistently says she's done? So first off, Archie, this is a very common issue, and this is one of the best questions that we've had on months on this session. So I'm glad that we can tackle this today. It's a very important question. We're going to give you the answer to that today, Archie, on how you can make sure that you go the full all the way, stay the course to give yourself the best chance of creating that new unbreakable marriage with your wife. So let's first give you a little bit of context before we get some input from the ARC legends. Let's look at like what most people guys are facing, guys, when their wife says she wants a divorce. So this is what most people think it looks like. So you can see here we got the man and the woman. Woman's walking away. And what most people think is they come into the ARC system or some other program where they do the work on themselves, and that within a certain period of time, between 6 months to a year or whatever, that they've created this new unbreakable marriage. But as we all know, and you guys are veterans in the ARC system, it's not the way it happens. So let's have a little look at what the reality is. The reality here is facing divorce. So you can see here, the man is on a downward spiral. So he's feeling really down. Then by applying the ARC system and getting emotional mastery, being grounded, he then gives her space so he can heal himself, give her space to do the healing work she needs to do. And then she starts texting more. So he gets super excited. But then, they get into another conversation, and then she said, no, there's no chance. I'm really done. So he feels really down again, continues working on himself. And then she at some point agrees, okay, let's go on a date. And he's super excited. He's like, finally, I'm on the home stretch. This is in the bag. I'm fucking sweet. And then as we all know, that's usually when the biggest one comes, and she pulls away again, and he's really struggling. And it's just a really, really tough time. And then by continuing on, by following the process, then they have the opportunity to create this new unbreakable marriage. It's more like this than this straight line. It's full of ups and downs. So my question for you, ARC Legends, is looking at this, why do you think men find it so difficult when we talk about, when the wife's checked out of the marriage and she says she's done? Why is it so hard to keep that motivation, to find that motivation for the weeks and months ahead? So why don't we start off with you, Levia? What are your thoughts? Why do you think that men find that so difficult?
I think first off, you just got to kind of gather your emotions, because it is an emotional roller coaster. Ultimately, when you work on yourself and you find value in yourself, you got to find a purpose of why you're doing it, whether it be your faith or your kids, your children. You want to create that unbreakable marriage. So, if I look back on my journey, it was about being able to look myself in the mirror and know that I did everything I could, leaving no stone unturned, and ultimately working on myself was my purpose, so that I could face my kids one day and let them know Daddy did everything he could. So, giving up in the interim of the roller coaster wasn't an option.
Wonderful. Gotcha. All right. Cowboy, what about for you, man? Why do you think that men, let's go back, because obviously you guys have walked that path that we just saw. So all of you are at the end, and you have the perspective of somebody that has gained a lot of wisdom. So bring yourself all the way back to the beginning, Cowboy, when also Paula wanted that divorce. Did you have the same thing? Did you find motivation at points started to drop off? And if so, why?
Absolutely. For me, it was a really difficult thing to accept. This is somebody that I was with for a really long time. I had kids with them. I had worked so hard to try and build a future with them, and now they're telling me they want out of this relationship. It was a tough pill for me to swallow. As far as staying motivated for it, I found myself questioning, okay, why am I even doing this? Why am I even still working the way I'm working? she doesn't want this. I found myself going down this rabbit hole of starting to give up. I had no motivation. I had no desire to do anything. I was just kind of going day to day on necessity, really.
Gotcha. And what was it that helped you pull through? Because you did, yourself and Paula did pull through on that. What was it for you that helped you dig in and find that motivation?
Resilience, first and foremost, resilience. I've lived through quite a few different adverse events in my life, and
seasons, yeah.
And I've built a lot of resilience into myself, and I really think that ultimately that's what it boils down to, is resilience. But with as far as my wife and I pulling through, it was mastering the emotions, as Levi was saying, and then recentering everything on myself and just focusing on grounding myself and staying centered within my own existence.
Wonderful. Right, guys, you're giving some real nuggets here for the guys watching this video. That's wonderful. What about you, Apache? Why do you think guys struggle when they're facing that, the up and down?
I think as guys, we like consistency, don't we? We like things to just be a straight line, fix it, and get on with it. So to have it sort of fluctuate like that is confusing, isn't it? And we don't like that kind of inconsistency. We want it to just fix it and forget. So, but the reality of it is, it's not going to be a straight line trajectory, is it? There's going to be a sine wave to it. So, but we don't like ups and downs, do we? We don't like that disruption.
No, we fucking hate it.
We want a clear and concise plan. This is going to work. This is an algorithm. This is a formula. Do this, and this will be the outcome. Yeah, we don't want any of that shit in the middle. I don't. Anyway, I don't.
No, so so that is me. Like, who else? Let's get a show of hands. Who was like that? Like, guys, you have to remember, we're hunter gatherers. Like, it's the dopamine hit, the reward of getting where we want to go, and that's why it's so difficult. Yeah, you're completely right, Apache. And especially when you feel like you're getting there, and then you're not getting that outcome. So the reward that you're looking for after putting all the work in, so you're not getting that. It's extremely difficult. And I'm really, really happy that we're discussing about this today, because it's such an important topic. What about yourself, Optimus? Why do you think guys struggle so much with the ups and downs?
It definitely has to do with regards to our ego and our image. I know for me, that's what I struggled with, was more to do with the fact that, how is this happening to me, being that given that I was a nice guy, people pleaser, how could something like this, the whole D word with divorce, be the path that I'm now following or going down? So, I mean, that was definitely a tough pill to swallow, for sure. Going that route, thinking that, I was building a family, starting this whole life together, and then hopefully, passing that down to my kids, to have something to look forward to growing up, and, looking for that marriage that they can use and see as the two of us being that better image for them to, look forward to in the future.
Yeah. And you feel like that was what was making it then difficult, causing ups and downs?
Definitely.
Okay, gotcha. All right, well, guys, you're hearing a lot from the guys on our call today about the importance of having emotional regulation and being centered and not letting your ego get in the way here. If you're finding it difficult to find that motivation, check out our masterclass. The link is down below. We're going to teach you how to get that emotional mastery. Join that today. And that's going to help you start getting that being centered, so you can start making progress towards creating this new unbreakable marriage. Okay, so we've covered why it's difficult, and I think we hit it really well, as in why it's hard to stay motivated when why our wives check out and are saying they want divorce. I think in our head we've got this like time frame, right? There's a certain time frame, and if you're watching this video, I think you should have a time frame. This shouldn't be open-ended. I did the master class recently enough And I asked the question, how long are you willing to work in your marriage for from this point? And all the guys that were on that masterclass were facing divorce or were separated. And what I found really interesting was most of them were willing to go over a year, right? And I always thought, my assumption was when I asked that question is most people are going to say, look, I'll do a month or two. Like they're kind of looking for a quick fix. But it could just be the type of men that we attract with the ARC system are the guys that are willing to go the distance, right, to do the work. And at the same time, while I honor that people are willing to go out a year, I also think it can be torture if you're kind of taking the wrong steps, right? If you're taking the wrong steps and you're not following a proven process, you could spend years in that like purgatory. And unfortunately, I see it with lots of men that are in our free group that don't have a proven process to follow, and they're just in it for years, and that's painful. We shouldn't be doing it for years. In my opinion, the ARC system is 6 months, and I think it's 6 months that we should give it our all to learn the skill set and to really heal. And that's a gift that all you guys get that, enroll in the ARC system, is to know that you've given it your all. And after 6 months, and to be able to move on either with your wife in a new unbreakable marriage or with somebody else that deserves you. So what I also heard you guys here saying is about the importance of purpose. So should we dig into that a little bit more? I think that'd be good, because what's happening here at the moment, guys, is, how to stay motivated. Like most people are looking at, like, hey, when they reach out to us, it's like, how do I save my marriage, right? So the what is, how do I save my marriage? So we got 3 components here. Let me break it down into 3 components. And ultimately, it's that middle component that is going to be your purpose. And most people only get into the what and the how. So the what is something like, as in what we do with the ARC system is transforming a marriage in crisis into a new unbreakable marriage. But let's be honest, most people are also reaching out to us because I want to save the marriage. But we shift them in this positive direction of, no, you don't want to be just saving your marriage. You only just go back to the old. You want to create a new unbreakable marriage. So that's the what. Then you got the how, and the how is really simple. The ARC system, without going into more details of what the ARC system is, let's just say that's the vehicle that's going to get you. But what most people don't think about is the why. Why am I doing this work? So Archie, ultimately, you need to be clear on why. Why are you doing this, right? That is going to be the fuel in your tank. So let me get like our guys on here, our ARC legends. So why did you guys decide to apply for the ARC system, join and do the work? And if I look at you guys here, so we got Leviah, you've been in the program over 2 years. You got Cowboy, who's coming up in a year. Apache, I believe you're in a year, and Optimus, you're in about 9 months. So like, you guys are great examples of, you don't quit, you're now showing up, you want to give back to the world and, share your message and your wisdom with everybody here, which is absolutely wonderful. So let's hear from your side, Optimus. What was your reason? What was your why to come into the ARC system?
Definitely, I think when the whole conversation happened with regards to her not wanting to be with me, it definitely made me want to dig into why things were happening. I thought that, I was showing up for my marriage and showing up for my family, which I guess in her eyesight was not the case. So it definitely was to kind of, maybe reinvent myself or rediscover myself. I kind of felt like I had lost myself a little bit. So to be able to dig back in, have the clarity, be a little more self-aware of who I was, how I showed up, I think was my main why into coming into this group, just so that I can know of how good of a man that I could be for this relationship or a new one moving forward, depending on how that looked.
Wonderful. What about, let me ask a question. Did anybody come into the program, and let's be honest now, because we have to go back a year. Maybe this would be a good one for you, Apache, where it was like, I'm coming in because I want to save my marriage. It's like, I need to save my marriage. Without my marriage, I'm nothing. This is something that we used to hear a lot with guys coming into the program. Apache, did you have that feeling yourself? That was the reason why you came in?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, to be honest, I was coming in to fix my marriage, and get it back on track and just keep the family together. Yeah, that was my main drive right at the beginning, let's say a year ago. Soon within 3, 4, 5 6 months, I guess, became clear that wasn't going to happen. And then I had a lot more clarity, and I sort of transformed
Yeah.
into, actually, this is for me. This is, this is 100% now going to be for me, and the benefit, for my benefit, which will then transfer into the benefit of my children.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, right back at the beginning, fix it now, please. Yeah.
Okay, and you came in. So as we looked at the beginning of this session, we looked at the kind of up and down of the relationship. Wife moving forward and back, and then coming closer and pulling away. You had, and that's that's really difficult because there's a lot of emotions involved. But your situation was equally difficult, and I think it's actually the most difficult situation to be in. Is where she checked out, and then there was just nothing. It was like there was nothing there. You were doing all the work. And I know there was a lot of healing to be done when you came into the program. You came on the retreat, last year, which was wonderful. So maybe you can just share with the guys, like what helped you? I think you answered already, but we'll just get a short answer on this again. Is what helped you keep moving forward? Although your wife didn't do that kind of moving closer and then pulling away, which can give hope and then pull, which is very emotionally difficult. Your wife was just flat out like not done totally, and so from you being in a marriage over 20 years and considering it was a good marriage and happy to in a very short period of time that the marriage breaking down, you had a lot to deal with, man. It was really traumatic. What helped you now stay the course and keep showing up?
Yeah, it was straight into the deep end, as we say over
Yeah, I
here.
remember
Yeah,
that, man.
there was no. I mean, I count myself lucky now, looking back at it, that there was no kind of mixed messages. There was no glimmer of hope. It was literally the band-aid ripped straight off.
Yeah.
Right, deal with it. Sink or swim. Right. So, it was tough. But I think it dumped me in so much of a space of sort of conflict, I guess, where I needed to change everything, so there was nothing to go wrong. I had nothing to lose, I guess. Was my motivation. What I've lost the one thing that I cherish the most in the whole world. So I may as well do the work on myself and just see what see what comes out the other side of it. But
And I also remember you saying, Apache, that you said that this work needed to be done one way or another. You remember you said you were miserable before.
Yeah.
So Lisa checked out. Like you were so miserable. So what is it now that looking back? Because I think it's wonderful the way you said, looking back, I'm glad I didn't have this up and down. What else are you glad of? What else do you see? Are you glad of now that you've kind of come through? You've weathered this storm.
Yeah, glad of the independence as well. The chance to stand, or the chat, to be forced to stand on my own 2 feet, to really up my game. From a dad point of view, I've bonded more with my kids than, even within the first 6 months, I bonded more with my 2 children than I had, for sort of 10 years, having that full on 1-to-1, 50-50, every other week, full everything, school run, breakfast, homework, 3 meals a day, having to stand up and do all of that as well as full-time job, it's allowed me to accomplish things that I didn't think I was ever capable of doing. And now I sort of think, oh shit, I did that, and I can do that, and I can pay the bills, and I kept the house, and I'm still running the car, and the kids are never late for school. They never go to school hungry. Things like that. What else can I do? What else am I capable of? And ultimately through the program, I've sort of progressed into being able to, help other, and getting the ball rolling on helping other guys and things, sort of thing. So yeah, my work notice a difference in me. My friends and family all notice a difference in me. It's the best. It's created the best version of myself.
Could you quantify your growth? So you've been in the program about a year. If you could quantify it in the whole, like 10x, 20x, 2x, how much do you think you've grown in the last year, man? Compared, if you take the old Glenn and now the Apache in 12 months ago, how much would you say, if you can quantify that?
I would just the first thing came to my head. I was like quadrupled. I've like quadrupled from like where I was to
Yeah.
what I am now. I guess I was a quarter of I was fulfilling like a quarter of
Yeah.
my potential.
That's
Now I feel
beautiful.
like I'm,
Okay.
the whole thing.
And Apache, thank you so much. Like, this is wonderful that you're sharing this testament, because ultimately, when we're hitting these hard times in relationships, it is an opportunity to grow. And you can now, in hindsight, look back and be happy with yourself that you've squeezed everything out of that. There was so much, and ultimately, that is, guys, when we hit these hard times, right? It's an opportunity to grow. I think it was it you, Optimus, in the group saying about that we're being forged in fire, I think was how you put it. Which is a beautiful phrase I've seen before. Being forged in fire, it's a really difficult time. So let's have a quick look then bring it back to then our why. So when most people, like, and Apache, you were brutally honest a year ago, the why was, I need to save my marriage. You can see here, this is not a good thing. I need to stop divorce. I need a winner back. So Cowboy, maybe you can share, why do you think all these, if your why is to save your marriage, and if it's to stop divorce and it's a winner back, why do you think this is a bad thing? Your why. So that's your fuel in your tank.
Because it's not sustainable. You're doing it out of fear. You're doing it out of apprehension, anxiety, whatever you want to, like whatever you want to do it, or whatever you want to call it. It's based off of something that's not sustainable. Fear is not permanent. Anxiety is not permanent. Nothing is permanent. So once that motivation runs out, then where is your why gonna, like, where is your why gonna be at that point? For me, I started off, okay, I need to save this marriage, for me, personally. And then it got to a point where, when I finally decided to pull the trigger on it, if you will, I reached a point where I figured out I needed some sort of direction. I had no direction. I tried this out countless times, okay, I'm gonna really fix this marriage this time. This is what I'm gonna do. You do your show pony thing, whatever, blah blah blah. It's like, and then things would get great for a few weeks or months or whatever, and then it would just come crashing right back down. It's just, yes, exactly the cycle. So and it kind of hit me, what's the definition of insanity? You do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. Well, I hit that point, and then it's like, okay, I need some sort of direction. I need some sort of guidance. Let me see what this is about.
Right on. So yeah, exactly what you're talking about there is fear. This motivation is based on fear, and like you said, it's so unstable. You have these ups and downs. I remember we had guys in the past, a long time ago, would join the program, and then the papers would be filed. They'd be in the program just a couple of weeks. Papers would be filed, and then they'd say, "Yeah, Luke, I'm done," and they'd stop showing up for the sessions and doing the work. I'm like, that is absolutely crazy. We don't get that anymore, because we're very clear that anybody that gets accepted into the program needs to finish it and do 6 months. And because we have a bigger purpose, the why is there for everybody that comes into the program. They're really clear in the why. And because when it's fear-based motivation, you're focused externally. So just like Cowboy was saying there, you're looking, for signs of hope, words of affirmation, and it's really unstable. It's volatile. And what happens is it drains your energy, because you're constantly in fight or flight. You're looking for signs, and then she pulls away. All you guys know what that feels like. It's horrible when you are like a victim to circumstances. You don't control your internal world. You don't have that sovereignty over your emotions like all you guys have now by learning the ARC system, and it's absolutely horrendous. And it also, that fear-based motivation has an inbuilt self-sabotage mechanism, because you're focusing on an outcome you don't control. It's like looking for her to check back in, and anytime she feels like you feel like you're getting close to that, you're on a high, and as soon as she pulls away a little bit, you're done. And that means it's really inconsistent, and it means the chance of you getting to the end and being able to have that satisfaction and knowing that you gave it your all, it is tough, to say the least. So what we need to do here is, let's look at the empowered why. So let's answer So Archie's question on the empowered whys, how can we shift out of this, guys, rather than having a fear-based motivation? What are some empowered whys? And you guys have done a wonderful job of answering that today already. So one is, I'm coming in to do the work to become the best possible man, father, and husband I can be, right? Focused on myself, to learn a new skill set. I don't mean to be unkind to anybody that is looking at this video, but the fact that you're where you're at means you didn't have the skill set to cultivate a deeply loving and intimate relationship. It's what we teach. All these men that you see here now on the call today have that skill set. They can either apply it to their wives and create that new unbreakable with the wives that they have now, or they're doing it in a new relationship. The last thing that you want to have is to go quit on this marriage, go on to your next relationship, and then start wondering, why am I having the exact same problems again? Learn the skill set and show your kids how dad navigates difficult times. Levia hit that home really early on this session. The importance. Your kids are unfortunately, or I don't know what you want to say, unfortunately, it's a matter of life, is they're going to have difficult times in their life. Now, how are you going to be? Are you going to be the dad that falls to pieces? Or are you going to be the dad that, stands that storm, gets forged in that fire? Because your kids are watching, and all these guys that you can see here on the call, regardless of their outcome, their kids get to see a fucking badass who never gave up. And the final thing is, you want to show them what a deeply loving and intimate relationship looks like. I mean, the last thing you want is to be stuck in, last thing you want to do is be stuck in a sexless, loveless marriage. You want to be, and what we have to remember here is, you're half of this. You're 50%. Like, your wife also has her side to do. We help you weather the storm. We give you the skill set. But when you do all that, your wife needs to step up too. And I would not recommend going back into a relationship that's sexless and loveless, which, when you're in a fear-based motivation, you're just going to take it no matter what. You're going to just take her back. And that's not the way to do it. You work on yourself, you clean up your side of the street, and then she needs to clean up her side of the street. But ultimately, your kids deserve this. The why should be, I want to show my kids what a deeply loving, intimate relationship looks like. So when they get older, they don't make the same mistakes. They know what that looks like. And you can do that either with your current wife, if she's able to level up like you, or with someone else. It's a big, really, really important thing. Our why in the ARC system is, we want to see kids growing up in emotionally healthy and happy homes. And that can be with their biological parents, but in some cases that doesn't happen. And it should be then with our ARC legends and another person that they deserve, a woman that respects them and loves them, and that's a relationship based on trust. That's what the kids need to see. They don't need to see biological parents together that are where the behavior is very unhealthy. I'll try not to use the word toxic, but they don't need to see that. They need to see what a loving relationship looks like. And finally, what you heard from all the ARC legends here today is, you got to make it about you. Stop making it about your wife, right, guys? All of you, I think, Patch, you said at the beginning when you enrolled in the system, you were like, okay, you wanted to save the marriage, but you fairly quickly realized, no, this is about me, and there's a lot more on the table. How did it help you then, Apache? I think you've answered enough. Let's get it to Levia then to wrap it up here. Levia, how did it help you when you really just focused on yourself? Stop making it about Jen and you started making it about you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like the other guy said, I came in for that quick fix reconciliation. When I realized that wasn't really what was happening and what I wanted to happen, and I kind of let go of the control. And another reason why I joined was because I wanted to be around other guys that were going through the same. But there was just a shift to where it had to be 100% about me, focusing on different aspects of how to be the best version of myself. You put it being that strong, independent, magnetic man with excellent communication skills. And I became that. And it allowed me to just look myself in the mirror and be that super dad for my kids. And I think ultimately, it doesn't matter the outcome. I landed on my feet. And that's really why I joined the program and what I wanted, because I knew of a lot of other guys getting divorced that may have lost their businesses or, went into depression, went to the bottle. And that was not something I wanted for myself. And landing on my feet, that's only the ultimate goal I had. So I think staying the course of that and putting the work in for yourself. And my why was because I wanted to leave a legacy for my kids and be able to look at myself in the mirror ultimately. And, now I'm in a great relationship, which is intimately satisfying and so many other things. But, I did work.
Couldn't let that one slide. Wonderful.
Well, you're the one who brought it up. But yeah, the reality is,
it almost looked like we got through a session without any dirty talk.
No, but the reality is like if you show up and you do the work for yourself, you can look at yourself in the mirror and you can face yourself and sleep well at night. And I think for me, I always wanted to leave everything on the table. That's exactly what I did, and so being forged in fire, that's exactly what happens. No matter what happens, you land on your feet, and you're going to be this person you should be, and you should have been from the beginning, right? And I think every one of these guys that I've known a while now, we all went through that roller coaster in one way or another. It sucked, yes, but on the back end, look at us now. We're here. I mean, I feel content with myself.
Right, and so that's a really, really good point about these guys really, really well. How important was that for you for the motivation? If we bring it back to the motivation again for Archie, to have a group of these like badasses to make sure that you stayed the course.
Well, I think it's like iron sharpens iron, right? So we have guys that come in that are, one day in and they're going through all the emotions, right? But you have people that can hold you accountable, that can really encourage you and motivate you to get through, that phase of your journey, much quicker. Like I said, I've been in a couple years, actually longer. It was very,
as you like to remind everybody.
But it took a while to really,
not to brag.
No, I don't say that as a bragging thing, but I'm saying where it's at now, you really have a group of guys that's family that can really come alongside the new guys coming in. I didn't have that as much coming in, but I had it, and that's what I was looking for. But the culture now has really evolved, and I just watch new guys come in and they're able to stabilize and really get a hold of themselves quite well because they have a support system. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the ARC system has evolved over the years. With each person that comes in, it evolves. So it's constantly growing, constantly evolving. Levi, thank you so much for sharing that, man. So with how your why and what you got out of it, let's then wrap it up with Cowboy, because we got with Levi with his outcome where with Jen, he's now moved on to his next relationship, and he has all the wins because he stood in that storm. He's become that strong, magnetic, independent man with exceptional communication skills. So these are all the positives. He's an absolute badass, What about from your side? Because that's one outcome. And then there's the outcome, your one, Cowboy, where yourself and Paula have created this new unbreakable marriage, which is what a lot of the guys are looking when they're coming into the program. They're looking for that outcome. What was your why to do the work?
Oh.
Or let's actually, now with hindsight, if you're going to give Cowboy, who joined the program a year ago, what would you tell him should be his why? Let's do with that, because you've got the outcome. Share that, broadcast it back a year ago to Cowboy, who was looking to come into the program. Tell him what should his why be to join and to do the work. He doesn't have to come into the program. Why should he do the work?
So if I'm going at it from that standpoint and just that perspective alone, it's to find who you were again, to find your true self again. Because I spent so long in the relationship, like drifting away from that. I had no direction. I had no respect for my wife. Find yourself again. And I've been able to do that. I've been able to come back to and get back to the core of who I am, and be unapologetic about it, and be okay with that, and just this is who I am, this is what I am. You can either take it or leave it. And I was able to apply that with my wife, and it got pretty tumultuous there for a little bit, and then it got and then we created that.
Look at it. Guys, can we get a woo, 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 woo.
Yeah, yeah, and then it got rough again because, you know, going back to like finding who I was, I wasn't being honest with her. I wasn't being honest with myself for a long time about some things that were going on in my relationship, and then getting back to the center, the core of who I was. I was able to come out with that, and it got rough again. And I knew it was probably going to happen, but it was something that had to come out. And then once we made it past that rocky slope, if you will, things.
Was Paula able to accept your homosexuality?
You know, it was it was rough at first, but yeah, I think she's come to accept.
You can work around that.
We both do our thing, you know, hold up our marital duties.
I'm teasing Cowboy here, but Cowboy, I'm not sure if guys understand how important is what you're saying. So many of them, when they're in that fear-based motivation, it's like short-term, get the win, reconcile the marriage, save the marriage, and that's all I want, with nothing else. Just I wanted to say, okay, I'll give it another shot. That's all they want. They're not seeing the big picture, and you are a wonderful example of seeing the big picture. You're in the program a year. She wanted to reconcile after 2 weeks, right, of being in the program. We were like, no fucking way. Those problems are not gone. You need to keep working on yourself. And you had those, literally all those ups and downs. But would it be fair to say now, after a year, things have settled down and that you guys are creating this new unbreakable marriage? Would you say that's fair to say?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've been able to, I've mastered picking and choosing battles. I've mastered just, I think we can pretty much figure out exactly what I'm saying there just by that one phrase.
Wonderful, Cowboy. All right, thanks for sharing that, brother. So now that you understand the importance of your why when you're looking to create a new unbreakable marriage, you want to watch this next video on the only reason that's preventing your wife from working on the marriage.